We are now in day 3 of the Democrat-led government shutdown. The Democrats continue to recklessly hold the American people hostage over their demands to give illegal aliens free health care. Republicans are fully unified behind passing nonpartisan clean funding bill, the exact same bill that Democrats approved back in March to reopen the federal government. But those same Senate Democrats are now voting against this clean funding bill and keeping the people's government closed. I understand Democrats will have an opportunity very shortly here to change course, and we hope that they will. There are significant personal impacts on millions of Americans as a result of this current government shutdown. The 1.3 million men and women of America's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Space Force who serve honorably and put their lives on the line to defend us all are not being paid. Military families are already seeking out food assistance because of financial anxiety caused by this Democrat shutdown. According to new reporting from the Military Times, staff members at the Armed Services YMCA food pantry distribution location near Fort Hood in Texas found a line of military families stretched around the side of the building yesterday at 5 in the morning. According to the staff who work there, that is, quote, not happened ever. They've already had a 34% increase this week over past weeks. President Trump and Republicans fundamentally believe we have a sacred responsibility to protect and provide for our military families with the resources they need to thrive. If Democrats believe in this very simple premise too, they should end this shutdown immediately. Unfortunately, the severe impacts of the Democrat shutdown extend beyond our troops. Nearly 7 million mothers, infants, and low-income families who rely on government-run food assistance will be in jeopardy if the WIC program runs out of money in the weeks ahead. The more than 13,000 air traffic controllers who ensure that Americans fly safely in airports across the country are currently working without pay. The National Flood Insurance Program is in danger of lapsing, which could leave families without necessary help if a disaster strikes, and we are in the middle of hurricane season. Critical services offered at Social Security field offices are reduced for senior citizens and disabled Americans. Helpful transition assistance programs are not being provided for veterans who fought to defend our country and are now trying to re-enter civilian life. The economic consequences of this shutdown are piling up every day. Policymakers, markets, and even the Federal Reserve are flying blind at a key juncture because BLS and BEA data are on hold until the government reopens. Democrats shutting down the federal government to give health care to illegal aliens could lead to lower growth and higher unemployment rates for Americans. According to a new memo from the Council of Economic Advisors, the U.S. economy could lose $15 billion of growth domestic product each week. Every single week, the Democrat shutdown extends, with a month-long shutdown leading to an additional 43,000 unemployed people. Small businesses are likely to encounter delays in receiving federal loans. Mortgage applications will likely shrink. And just this morning, Business Roundtable, an association of more than 200 CEOs of Americans' leading companies representing every sector of the U.S. economy, put out a statement urging Congress to pass the clean CR that will once again come before them in the Senate floor in just a few moments. Quote, a fully functioning government is essential for American businesses, workers, and consumers, while policymakers continue working on a full-year funding package and other pressing issues. Again, that is a quote from the Business Roundtable. What's clear is that the Democrats' actions account to an intentional sabotage of our country and our people by shutting down our government. This madness must end. President Trump and Republicans are calling on Democrats to reopen the government immediately on behalf of the American public. All we need are 5 Democrat senators to do the right thing and to stop this shutdown. Call your Democrat senator and tell them to vote yes to reopen the government. On another matter, despite the Democrat shutdown, President Trump's efforts to make America safe again continue. President Trump believes that American cities should be the safest places on earth, and he is committed to making this a reality. We've already seen that President Trump successfully made D.C. safe again in only a few weeks. That same crime crackdown will continue to happen in cities across the country and is happening in Portland, Oregon. President Trump will end the radical left's reign of terror in Portland once and for all. The president has directed Secretary Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other left-wing domestic terrorists. What's been allowed to happen in Portland, and we saw disturbing video footage of this last night, this is not peaceful protesting, this is left-wing anarchy that has been destroying this great American city for years, leaving police officers battered, citizens terrorized, and business properties damaged. Since early June alone, Antifa terrorists have laid siege to the ICE field office in South Portland. These radical left-wing lunatics have violently breached the ICE facility by using a stop sign as a battering ram, hurled explosives and other projectiles at law enforcement, repeatedly assault and dox officers, berate their law-abiding neighbors, and have even rolled out a guillotine in front of the ICE facility. And more people should be reporting on that. President Trump has sent federal law enforcement to protect federal assets and arrest those fueling this violence. Just last night, we saw an extremely troubling incident where conservative journalist Nick Sorter was captured on video being taken into custody by the Portland police after he was ambushed by Antifa and was defending himself from these assaults. But instead of arresting these violent mob members night after night after night who are ravaging this community, the police arrested a journalist who was there trying to document the chaos, and everyone in this room should be extremely concerned about that. The Department of Justice spoke with that journalist this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest. This incident is part of a troubling trend in Portland where left-wing mobs believe they get to decide who can visit and live in their city. It is not their city. It is the American people's city, and President Trump is going to restore that. I just spoke with the president about this, and he has directed his team here at the White House to begin reviewing aid that can potentially be cut in Portland. We will not fund states that allow anarchy. There will also be an additional surge of federal resources to Portland immediately, including enhanced CBP and ICE resources. Law and order will prevail, and President Trump will make sure of it. With that, I'll take your questions, and we will begin today's briefing with our new media seat, Amanda Head from Just the News. Amanda, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Caroline. On that most recent topic that you mentioned, reportedly Portland police have not been able to engage protesters to the degree that they normally would. Does the president plan on handling this from that angle as well with city leaders?
Yes. From our understanding in the law enforcement that we have here in the Homeland Security Task Force, I spoke with them this morning, and what they're seeing is that unfortunately, local police has been restricted from responding or cooperating at all with federal authorities, which is completely absurd. We have surged federal law enforcement personnel to this city to restore law and order and to work alongside local law enforcement. And we've seen the benefits of this in Washington, D.C. And all of you live here, so you can agree Washington, D.C. is and feels much safer because of the cooperation between federal and local law enforcement. They can and must be working together, and we think it's despicable that these local elected officials who swear an oath to protect their people are preventing law enforcement from doing their jobs on the ground. So that's why the president has directed his team here at the White House, and they are already on it to look into how we can cut funds. And the president wants to work with anyone. If the mayor of Portland were to call him right now and say, "Mr. President, please help us," I am sure the president would be willing to do that. He is genuinely serious about wanting to restore order in America's cities. But it's become apparent that the local and elected officials in Oregon do not feel the same. And that's very unfortunate for the people who live there.
And then one more question on the government shutdown. Should there be some type of scheduled layoffs to maybe entice Democrats to come to the table, like every hour another agency, another 100 pink slips? I'm sure Russ Vought has a list of folks ready to go.
Well, look, the Office of Management and Budget, as we've said repeatedly, is working with the agencies and our cabinet secretaries to identify where cuts unfortunately can and have to be made. And again, we understand there's another vote happening on the Senate floor in an hour. Maybe if Democrats do the right thing, this government shutdown can be over. Our troops can get paid again. We can go back to doing the business of the American people. But if this shutdown continues, as we've said, layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of that. And Russ Vought has been in contact with our cabinet secretaries at their respective agencies to discuss that. Thank you, Amanda. Kelly.
How would this administration define what makes a Democrat agency, which agencies, and what constitutes being a Democrat agency?
I think this administration has been very clear, Kelly, that we're not going to tolerate waste, fraud, and abuse in our government. And we've also been very clear to point out when agencies or when programs do not align with this administration's values of putting our country first. You've seen that with USAID and in various other cases where there's been cuts made or funding has been slashed. And so, again, unfortunately, we're having to do a massive review of the bureaucracy to be good stewards of the American taxpayer dollar. And it's the Democrats who have forced the White House and the president into this position by voting to shut the government down.
You've talked about thousands likely layoffs coming. Do you have an update on the timeline for that? How quickly, and if the government is restored to funding and back in operation, will that list of potential layoffs still be on the table?
Look, as I just stated, the Office of Management and Budget is in constant communication and contact right now with our cabinet secretaries and agencies across the board to identify, unfortunately, where layoffs have to be made and where cuts have to happen. But again, the Democrats have an opportunity to prevent this if they vote to reopen the government. That is all this administration and the president is asking for. Vote for a clean, continuing resolution to keep the government open. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. During the campaign,
Thank you, Peter.
I was raised to say thank you in the White House briefing room. During the campaign, President Trump said that he did not know anything about Project 2025. Now he knows about it. Is that the blueprint for shrinking the government?
Look, the blueprint is what the president and his team and his cabinet secretaries ultimately decide. And the president trusts his cabinet secretaries to identify where there is waste, fraud, and abuse. We pointed out this morning, or Russ Vogt tweeted about this morning, a Chicago rail project that was canceled. We paused $2.1 billion in Chicago infrastructure projects, specifically the Red Line extension and the red and purple modernization projects. And it's because the administration is concerned that the Biden administration was handing out taxpayer dollars to pay for this construction based on DEI. DOT is reviewing the race-based contracting on unconstitutional grounds, and in the meantime, the Department of Transportation funds for these projects are on hold. So I guess this answers both of your questions. This would be an example of that.
And just because there's so much shutdown talk, something different. What do you guys think about the NFL's decision to name Bad Bunny as the Super Bowl halftime performer, somebody who has not scheduled shows in the U.S. because he says that he's worried that ICE is going to come and arrest his fans?
Well, look, I know there are many in this room who are very anxious to hear the president's response to Bad Bunny being the halftime show, so I won't get ahead of him. I won't reveal what he feels about this. Next time you all ask him a question, you're welcome to do that. I have my own feelings on that, but that's not what I'm up here to talk about. As far as ICE being at the Super Bowl, as far as I'm aware, there's no tangible plan for that in store right now. However, of course, this administration is always going to arrest and deport illegal immigrants when we find them. If they are criminals, we're going to do the right thing by our country. Kate.
Did the president and Russ Vogt decide yesterday in their meeting which cuts they wanted to make to agencies and which ones would be permanent?
Again, I've kind of answered this question a few different times now. It's been asked in a few different ways. Their discussions continue between the Office of Management and Budget and cabinet agencies across the board, and they are actively identifying where these cuts and these layoffs have to be made as this government shutdown hopefully does not continue.
And on Hamas, the president said that if Hamas rejects the proposal, that Netanyahu would have his full backing to finish the job. A UN report found that Israel was committing genocide in Gaza. Does the president have concerns about the civilians being killed, the worsening humanitarian crisis, and are there limits to what the White House would support when it comes to Israel's actions in Gaza?
Look, the president has deep concerns about all of the atrocities that have taken place in the Middle East over the past few years. It's deeply unfortunate that he inherited this mess from the Biden administration. If you all recall, under President Trump in his first term, the Middle East was on a pathway for peace and prosperity. There was the historic signing of the Abraham Accords. Israel was on a path to normalization between Arab and Gulf nations, and we hope that can continue. But right now, the president has made it very clear to Hamas that this is an acceptable and detailed proposal that they must accept, or the consequences are going to be very grave for them. And he has given them a deadline of Sunday evening at 6 p.m. When I was out here on Wednesday, I told all of you, I'll leave it to the president to make that red line, and he now has. I think the entire world should hear the president of the United States loud and clear. And Hamas has an opportunity to accept this plan and to move forward in a peaceful and prosperous manner in the region. And if they don't, the consequences, unfortunately, are going to be very tragic. Michael.
Thank you, Caroline. Has the president declared war on international drug cartels? And if so, or if he will, does he feel he needs congressional approval?
As the White House has said many times, the president has directed these actions, these strikes against Venezuelan drug cartels and these boats, consistent with his responsibility to protect the United States interests abroad and in furtherance of the U.S. national security and foreign policy interests. This is pursuant to his constitutional authority as commander-in-chief and the chief executive to conduct foreign relations. In each of these cases, Michael, the vessels have been assessed by the U.S. intelligence community to be affiliated with designated terrorist organizations engaged at the time in trafficking illicit drugs to our country. The president has been very clear, dating back to the campaign trail, that he is always going to do what's in the best interest of the American homeland. And he also promised the American people he was going to end the drug epidemic that has taken far too many American lives. And you're seeing those actions play out almost every single day here.
One last question on the shutdown, Caroline. Hakeem Jeffries has said that President Trump is in the Presidential Witness Protection Program since the shutdown has begun. What's the White House's reaction to that?
That's just more ridiculous fodder from Hakeem Jeffries. As you all know, because you're here every day, the president is literally working around the clock right now. I think he has a swearing-in ceremony, or he already did. He has several meetings on the books today. He literally works 24/7. Anyone who works in this place or covers this place, as you all do, knows that to be true. And Hakeem Jeffries and the Senate Democrats should get back to work in a few minutes and vote to reopen the government. Emily.
Thank you, Caroline. You spoke earlier about the energy and infrastructure projects that Director Vogt paused. Will the White House agree to restore that funding as part of a deal to end the shutdown?
Well, I won't make any agreements here. Senate Republicans are talking with their colleagues on the Democrat side, but right now, Russ Vought is doing what he's been tasked to do in the midst of this government shutdown, which is to look at funds that need to be temporarily halted or need to be canceled. And Chicago is just another example of that.
Caroline.
Go to Libby in the back.
Thank you, Caroline. I have two questions for you. One on the FDA, but first on the shutdown.
Sure.
Will the administration, if this government shutdown ends, still move forward with firing thousands of federal workers?
Look, as I've said repeatedly, Libby, right now we want the government to be open. Layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of a government shutdown, and it's something the administration is examining. If the government is reopened, we're going to get back to doing what we were doing last week and the week before, working on the issues that the American people care about.
And then on the FDA, they just approved that new abortion pill, and it's causing a lot of uproar among Republicans. What is the president's response to that, and does the administration plan to have that FDA approval?
Well, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Bobby Kennedy, has put out several statements on this. The HHS's decision, it's not an endorsement of this drug by any means. They are just simply following the law. And as they put out in their statement, by law, the Secretary of Health and Human Services must approve a generic drug application if the application demonstrates the generic drug is the, quote, same as the brand name drug. Generic applicants are not required to submit independent evidence proving safety and effectiveness. As such, FDA's decision to approve a second generic version does not address the merits of the current safety program. HHS is reviewing adverse effects to ensure the FDA's required safety program for the drug is sufficient to protect women. This safety review equally applies to generic versions of this drug. So FDA and HHS are following the law. It's, again, not an endorsement of the drug itself. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. Two questions on the shutdown. You've argued that these impending layoffs are necessary to keep essential services up and running, but that has never been the case in any previous shutdown. Even when the government was shut down for 35 days in Trump's first term, you've never had to lay off thousands of workers to keep essential services up and running. So why are layoffs now necessary in this shutdown?
Because we have an administration and we have a president who are wholeheartedly focused on restoring fiscal sanity to our government and doing the right thing by the American taxpayer. We are $37 trillion in debt, and the federal government is currently shut down. There is no more money coming into the federal government's coffers. And as you've also seen since the beginning, in January, this administration is focusing on waste, fraud, and abuse. And so Democrats have given this administration an unenviable choice to have to take a look at the balance sheet and identify where these cuts and layoffs can be made.
And you just said this is an unenviable choice, that this is an unfortunate consequence, but the president has described this as an unprecedented opportunity. to lay off additional workers. He's posted a video likening Russ Vogt to the Grim Reaper. So which is this? Is this an opportunity to fire more workers or an unfortunate consequence?
Look, the president likes to have a little fun every now and then, and I think both things can be true at the same time. The Democrats have given the administration this opportunity, and we don't like laying people off. Nobody takes joy in that around here, and if you think that, then I think that's very sad. You view the White House and our staff as wanting to put people out of work. Nobody wants to do that, but sometimes in government you have to make tough decisions. Carrie.
Going back to Portland, as far as the city council there is concerned, they appear to be very sympathetic towards the protesters over at the ICE facility. Is the White House considering invoking the Insurrection Act over in Portland? Is that something they are considering also? As far as the Portland City Council is concerned, are they looking at the members there who are appear to be helping out the protesters as far as suggesting to get burner phones, et cetera, et cetera?
That's not something I've heard that's under consideration or discussion at this time. Caroline, who's ever yelling in the back? Go ahead.
Me.
Sure.
Thank you. Bianca Gracia here, and I have a question. This week, the Democrats have chosen illegals over hard-working Hispanic Americans during Hispanic Heritage Month, causing the White House to cancel the celebration with the president. Is the president open to letting the Hispanics, who overwhelmingly voted for him, have their own siesta fiesta in the White House lawn opposed to the fancy, we don't need fancy schmancy, right? You can give us the backyard and we'll fill it all in and have in our own fiesta. Is the president open to that?
I had no idea she was going to ask that question. I just want to preface that. I've never met you. I just want to say that, but welcome to the briefing room. I love your energy. I can't personally unilaterally promise the South Lawn grounds. We have some construction going on out there, but I know that everyone here views it as very unfortunate we had to cancel or hopefully just reschedule the Hispanic American Heritage Month event, and it's because we are working around the clock during this government shutdown. When the Democrats vote to reopen the government, that event will be back in the planning stages. You're welcome. Brian, go ahead.
Very much. Welcome to the briefing room, by the way. I was with the Secretary of War and the Attorney General in Memphis just the other day as we were going to a command center, and I noticed a billboard along the highway that said, "Memphis welcomes the National Guard." Now, what is your message today to Democrat mayors watching us right now that suffer from TDS and they cannot get Trump out of the way to saving their city, Portland being one of them?
They should do the right thing by their citizens, Brian. They should call the president, they should call the White House and say, we want to work with you. And in Memphis, we are seeing some cooperation. As you saw from that billboard, the people of Memphis are loving this, and they are very grateful for the federal government's efforts. And federal law enforcement is there. We're working alongside local law enforcement. We'd like to see it ramped up a little bit because we want to make progress, and we want to arrest as many bad criminals as we can. Since Monday, I do have some updated statistics from the Homeland Security Council this morning. Since Monday, 153 arrests have been made in Memphis, including 5 gang members. 48 illegal guns have been seized, and 5 missing children have already been recovered. Last night, 60 arrests were made and 21 illegal firearms were seized. Arrests from last night include a suspect wanted for rape of a child under 13, first-degree murder, breaking and entering, aggravated assault, illegal drug possession, and many more. So we continue to see good results coming in through Memphis, and the president is very excited about making Memphis safe again. In the blue.
Thank you. At the top of the briefing, you made a statement about that the Democrats are interested in giving health care to illegal immigrants.
Yes, they are.
U.S. law already prohibits that. It's a 1996 law saying that they cannot give unauthorized immigrants any federally subsidized health care coverage through Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, or the Children's Health Insurance Program. There seems to be a disconnect in the messaging.
Are you denying that Medicaid money has never gone to illegal aliens in the United States of America?
I'm asking you if you can explain the disconnect in the message.
I most certainly can. The Democrats' proposal, their continuing resolution, let me just reiterate, the Republicans' continuing resolution was a clean continuing resolution. There was no partisan politics injected into it. There were no conservative wish lists injected to it. What the Republicans want, and still want to this very second, is a clean continuing resolution to fund the United States government. What did the Democrats want in their continuing resolution? They inserted a provision to undo a provision in the Working Families Tax Cut, the One Big Beautiful Bill, that ended taxpayer-funded health care illegal benefits for illegal aliens. Democrats' proposal would require Medicaid to pay more for emergency care provided to illegal aliens than Medicaid does for American patients who are disabled, elderly, or children. And this bill would have also allowed California to continue a gimmick that funds its Medicaid for illegals program. Those are things that we ended, the Trump administration ended, with the passage and the signage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And it is an undisputed fact, a fact that under the Biden administration, illegal aliens were absolutely receiving taxpayer-funded health care benefits. In fact, in fiscal year 2024, Medicaid costs for emergency services for illegal immigrants skyrocketed by 142% from the previous year to $9.1 billion. That's $9.1 billion taxpayer dollars that were going to emergency services for illegals. Between President Trump's last full fiscal year under his first administration and Joe Biden's last full fiscal year, Medicaid spending on emergency services for illegal immigrants nearly tripled. There was an increase of 196% between 2020 and 2024. And I have a chart here for you, and I'm more than happy to email it to you. I'd also like to add, because some were asking dishonest questions yesterday about emergency rooms. In Southern California, according to healthcare professionals in 2023 under the Biden administration, Southern California's, quote, entire healthcare system was being bombarded with illegal immigrants and forcing American patients to endure longer wait times. In Denver, Colorado, the CEO of Denver Health stated that 8,000 illegal immigrants made 20,000 visits to the city's health system in 2023. Leaving an uncompensated bill totaling over $10 million. So when an illegal alien goes to the emergency room, who's paying for it? The American taxpayer. The main safety net hospital in Denver had to turn away patients due to the massive influx of illegal immigrants into the community. And UC Health Hospitals in 2024 reported their system was under stress from an increasing number of migrants. As a result, according to the head of emergency departments and urgent cares across the hospital system, quote, access is impeded for everyone. These are healthcare professionals who dealt with this directly, and there's a lot more where that came from. It is an undisputed fact that Democrats want to give taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits to illegal immigrants, period. Ed.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline. Is the president talking directly to Democratic senators to try and get their vote for a clean CR?
The Senate Republicans are speaking directly with moderate Democrats. I understand those conversations have become very serious, and we hope positive in the right direction so that Democrats will do the right thing.
I don't know if you saw overnight a refinery in California went up in flames. Is the president going to help the governor should gas prices spike, or could he help the governor?
Look, I know the administration and the White House are aware of that situation that took place. I don't have any announcements for you, Ed, on that.
Has the president seen the first draft of the commemorative coin that the Treasury is doing for the 250th anniversary? It has his face on it.
Oh, I'm not sure if he's seen it, but I'm sure he'll love it.
Kara. Thank you, Caroline. It's now being reported that former President Biden's DHS and TSA placed peaceful January 6 protesters and even Americans who refused to wear masks during COVID onto watch lists usually reserved for terrorists. Most of these people were not charged with crimes. Does the White House have a comment on the prior administration violating the free speech and due process of these Americans? And where is the outrage from the left that claims to stand for due process and free speech? And after that, I have another question about protecting journalists from Antifa.
Sure. Well, Kara, to your first point, please send me that report. That's certainly very concerning. I haven't seen it myself, but if indeed that was happening, it's something I'm sure the Department of Justice and the FBI would deem worthy of looking into.
Journalists, as you mentioned earlier, are being increasingly attacked by leftist protesters. I was actually assaulted outside of President Trump's United Nations speech, and I think the White House is aware that a Portland journalist was almost blinded by an Antifa protester. This has been a problem that's gone on for years, and police often say that their hands are tied. Does the White House have a plan or plan on issuing a statement maybe discouraging this violence against journalists out on the street like me and so many others in this room?
Well, I hope that my statement earlier in the briefing served that purpose, but of course we condemn violence against anyone in this country, and journalists as well, who are exercising their First Amendment right. And there have been so many incredible independent journalists across the country who have gone undercover within Antifa and really have come to understand how this is a growing domestic terrorism threat inside of our country. And I would encourage maybe some of you in this room to get outside the Beltway and go do some of that undercover investigative reporting, because it is really incredible what they found. I met with one of them in my office yesterday, and they're doing very dangerous work in difficult circumstances, and Antifa is a very violent group, as you've experienced and that many others in the media have as well. Christian.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. Following up on Libby, sort of on the other side of the abortion debate, has the president abandoned his campaign pledge to mandate insurance coverage for IVF services?
No.
Was there any update on that? We flew by that May EO deadline for the White House to produce a plan.
I literally just read a statement from the Health and Human Services on for Libby at least, as far as IVF goes. I'll check in with our policy team and we'll get you some updates.
Russia, how concerned is the White House that the Russian Navy seems to be escalating its provocation of NATO allies? I'm talking, of course, to the several close calls they've had with the Danish military during the EU leaders meeting in Copenhagen.
It's something the administration takes very seriously, and we are constantly monitoring it. The National Security Council here at the White House is in constant correspondence with our NATO allies, and the president speaks to many of them as well.
Yes. We've seen a spate of gun violence in this country, both mass shootings. We've seen this Michigan church that was attacked, children being shot in pews in Minnesota. We've also seen politically motivated assassinations of Minnesota lawmakers, Charlie Kirk. Has any of this made the president or the White House rethink gun safety prevention in this country? Either red flag laws, I know that was a conversation in the first Trump administration, or is there anything on the table right now on gun violence?
Of course, this is an extremely pressing issue for the administration in our entire country. It's deeply alarming to everyone here, the violence that we've seen taking place all over the country, the assassinations that have unfortunately, tragically taken place throughout the last several months. There are many discussions about how to prevent such violence and how we can ensure that law enforcement has the resources they can on the ground to not only respond, but again, to prevent such tragedies from taking place. If there are red flags with an individual in a community, that they are treated as an emergency, a public safety emergency, not just, turn a blind eye to. There's many other things we can do, but the administration and the president has always also made it clear he's always going to protect the constitutional right, the Second Amendment constitutional right of Americans to own guns.
Would you advocate for Congress to pass a federal red flag law? Right now, they just incentivize states financially to have red flag laws, but I know Lindsey Graham has worked on this as a Republican. There are some Republicans that do support this kind of gun safety legislation.
I don't want to get ahead of the president on any congressional action or any suggestion to Congress on that matter. Andrew.
Thank you, Caroline. Two things. First, to follow up on something you said earlier about hospitals treating undocumented or illegal aliens. Is it the administration's position that hospitals should not have to treat people who come into the emergency department who are not here legally?
No, that's not our position. Our position is that it's completely unacceptable that the Biden administration paroled and encouraged an invasion of tens of millions of illegal aliens into our country and then promised them free health care. And the Democrats are on the record repeatedly stating that they believe illegal aliens should have health care benefits, free health care benefits in the United States of America. So that is a recipe for a disaster. Of course you're going to encourage a mass illegal invasion of our country, which is exactly what happened. And we've seen the unfortunate consequence of that, where American patients are being put last, where American patients are having to wait in wait rooms, where grandmothers and grandfathers are waiting hours and hours for care because they're being put behind the line to illegal aliens. And we don't agree with that. We don't support that. That's why the administration is desperately trying to fix it and deport the tens of millions of illegal aliens that the Democrats and the Biden administration allowed into our country. And we'd love to continue doing that work so long as the federal government is reopened. And there are many federal law enforcement agents and officers right now who are working without pay. That's unacceptable. The Democrats need to reopen the United States government, and we hope that they will do the right thing on the Senate floor in just a few moments. Thank you, everyone.
ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Please. Good to be with you. Good-looking people behind me. Too many good-looking people. Never like that many. You look great. We had a wonderful team here yesterday, Ohio State. They also had an incredible season, as you know. And we had the Dodgers here. They just won the World Series last year, World Series. So we have a lot of people celebrating at the White House. There's no place like it. Very special, very, very special. And it's an honor to have you all. And I want to say, number one, at ease. Just enjoy yourself. You can take it. I'm the boss here. You can take it. You don't have to listen to them for that. Just, you're going to have a good day. And if it's okay, I'm going to invite you over to the Oval Office when we're finished and present you with a little something special. Okay? Sure. Let's finish up and we'll head over to the Oval Office together. Okay. Today it's a great honor to officially present the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy to the 2024 Navy Midshipman Football Team. A great team, really great team, great people. Congratulations, and we're thrilled to be joined by a proud Marine Corps veteran Vice President J.D. Vance. J.D.? Where's J.D.? What the hell happened to J.D.? Because he was just here. He must have gotten a call from China. He'll be here. Along with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. Thank you, Pete, very much. You're doing a great job, too. The Houthis aren't doing very well, but you're doing well, aren't you? Huh? Secretary of the Navy, John Phelan, friend of mine, great guy, very successful person, by the way. Our new chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Raisin-Cane. Where is he? There he is. I talked about him in my speeches for years. Who knew I was going to be appointing him to be the top? And it's an honor. It's a real honor. Everything you did with me was perfect. I said, what happened to that guy Raisin-Cane? I want him. And that's what happened, and so you're going to do a great job. I have no doubt about it. Thanks, Dan. Acting Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral James Kilby. Admiral, thank you. Congratulations. And Superintendent of the Naval Academy, Vice Admiral Yvette Davids. Yvette? Oh, hello, Yvette. How are you, Yvette? But I especially want to thank and congratulate Athletic Director Chet Gladchuk, who will soon retire after 24 years. I looked at him and I said, this is a young-looking guy. I don't like this retirement stuff. But after 24 years, and he's going to do other things, I guarantee you that it'll also be incredible. But it's going to be very hard to top what he's done as athletic director. He's had the honor of 4 national championships, 251 conference titles, and 352 All-American athletes. That's not bad. Where are you? Where are you? That is not bad. So you had all of these All-American athletes. Any name athlete that really stands out, or were they just all great athletes? Everyone, as far as you're concerned, they're all the same, right? Great job you've done. What a record that is. Who has a record like that? I also want to thank some of the newly appointed members of the Naval Academy's Board of Visitors. Sean Spicer is here, and Walt Nauta. Now, Walt could be, he's thinking about going to Guam someday, and he'll be taking over as governor, but we won't mention that right now, Walt, will we, huh? He's fantastic. He's been with me for a long time, and he's great. And Sean, where's Sean Spicer? Sean, congratulations. It's a great honor. I can tell you, a lot of people wanted that position, so you guys are going to do it well. I have no doubt about it. The story of this incredible season began last February when the Navy football team entered the weight room for the winter workouts. I wish I could have joined you, but I just never was. I was never too much into lifting weights. I should have done it. I could have been president someday if I did. After 4 disappointing seasons, they were so disappointed. Your coach, Brian Newberry, plastered pictures of this magnificent trophy on every wall to remind you of the ultimate prize. And in 2024, you lived up to Coach Newberry's vision, and you showed the world, the midshipmen, and that you know how to fight, and win, right? And that's what you did. That's what you did. Wow. That's a hell of a trophy. How much does that weigh? I don't know. Am I supposed to carry that? I don't think it can be done. I hear it's quite heavy, actually. You won 10 of 13 games, including 9 by double digits. You beat Air Force, you beat Army, and now this 170-pound trophy, that's what it is yours once again. And I have to tell you, you had some brilliant players. On offense, you were led by an incredible fullback, team co-captain, Daba Fofana. Where is Daba? Where are you? Come on. Is he hard, Coach? Is he a hard guy to tackle? Could I tackle him running full speed? You don't suggest it, right? You want to say something? Come on.
I'm just going to say we couldn't have done it without Brian Newberry here, my co-captain here, Colin Ramos, and just everyone buying into the mission. And I'm excited. Praise the Lord.
Thank you. That's great. That's a great player, huh? That's great. Thank you very much. It's really beautiful. We have, on offense, we have a quarterback who is also very, very special. I hear he's great. Blake Horvath. Blake, where are you, Blake? Where are you? Come on up here. He said both strong and accurate on. Please.
Oh, appreciate it. No, it's an honor, right, to share this stage with President Trump, and I speak for the team when I say that. So thank you for having us, and it's all about the team. Trophy's a team. So great honor. Thank you, sir.
Are you being back, or are you?
Yes, sir. I'll be back next year.
Oh, I'm gonna be watching. I hear you. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Blake. We're gonna all be watching. This year, Blake tied the school record for touchdown passes in a single season, rushed for more than 1,200 yards. Wow, that's pretty good. And set a new school record for the longest rushing touchdown when he faked a handoff during a read option, carrying the ball 95 yards into the end zone to help beat Oklahoma. That's a serious team. We're not playing games here, Coach. Wow, is he a pretty good runner? Is he fast? He is. That's amazing. 195 yards for a quarterback. I'd say that's pretty good. But because of your teamwork, the midshipmen had the 6th best rushing offense and the #1 red zone touchdown offense. That's a big deal in all of college football. A truly amazing achievement. But to succeed, you have to excel on both sides of the ball, and the midshipmen had the #4 ranked red zone defense, led by one of the best tacklers in college football, linebacker and defensive captain, Colin Ramos. Where is Colin? Say a couple.
It's an absolute honor to be here. It was an amazing season. I'm so proud of these guys, and thank you, President Trump, for having us. Really an honor. Thank you.
I'll bet you're a tough guy. Huh? To do that, you got to be tough. Congratulations. That's beautiful. Great, huh? Opposing teams feared your secondary, especially the first ever midshipman with 2 pick sixes in a single game. Comeback, it was a big comeback to Sean Peel.
Yeah, we're just very grateful to be here. Yeah, that's it, really.
It's called the strong, silent type, right? Thank you very much, Deshaun. And no one can forget contributions of the All-Star Safety Special Teams Player of the Year, and I guess an NFL prospect. A number of them are Ray Lane. Ray?
Yeah, I just want to say it's an honor to be here. Thank you for the support. And, you know, go Navy, beat Army.
In December, I was honored to personally attend the 125th Army-Navy game in a battle that would be one of the best ever between the schools. It really went down in the history books, Coach. After you held the lead all game, the fourth quarter Army offense prepared to tie it up. They were getting right down there. I was there to watch, and you showed something that was amazing. You showed a very brilliant game time, Coach IQ, I guess you'd call that, huh? Were you happy with the end? Yes, you were very happy. Did you think you were going to win the game at that point? Okay, he's got to say that, but it was pretty amazing, actually. You faked the fourth down punt and gave the ball to the 6-foot-tall, 285-pound nose guard, Landon Robinson, who found the seam and rumbled 29 yards down the field to clinch the victory and to beat Army. Okay, where are you now? Where are you? Come on. Wow. I wouldn't want to tackle him.
Thank you, sir. First off, I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. President for inviting us. Super thankful. Wouldn't be here without my teammates, you know, without my coaches for, you know, calling the play and making sure that it was open for us to run it. So super thankful and excited for years to come. So
great job.
Thank you, sir.
Great job.
Appreciate that.
That'd be a hard guy to tackle, wouldn't it, Coach? It's painful. It's called painful. Great job. With the win, this trophy, you secure your spot as one of the greatest teams in Navy football history. That's a tremendous honor. You've had some great teams. As president, I've no higher honor than serving as the commander-in-chief of the America's Armed Forces. And I have to tell you that I've gotten to know so many of the people at the Academy, not only football players, just people generally. Roger Starbuck is a friend of mine and a great person. Played golf with him. And the last time I played with him, he hit a shot, looked like we were in trouble, and he came out from behind a tree from about 130 yards away. He had no shot to the green, and it ended up about 6 inches from the hole. And I said, well, that's Roger Starbuck, you know? Right? That's him. He was great. I tell you, when he played, he'd drop back, and he was in a different league. He was really amazing. What a player. What a player, what a great guy he is, but he loves your place. Since I took the oath of office, the spirit of our military has soared to new heights. Today, I'm proud to announce that in February, the U.S. Navy had its best recruiting numbers since 2002. That's a long time ago. And under my administration, the Navy is on track to have the best recruiting year since the start of the war and the war on terror. But going back further than that, probably 25 to 30 years. So I can say this strongly. About 7 months ago, Pete, they were having numbers that were a disaster. And over the last 2 months, 2.5 months, the numbers have gone through the roof. So it's great. Michael, same thing. And the numbers went through the roof. And it's also true with all of the armed forces, and it's true with our police, with our firemen. There's a lot of spirit right now in the country that we didn't have 6 months ago. So that's an honor, but you have your highest recruiting numbers in about 20 years, and that's fantastic. That's pretty good, Sean, when you hear that, right? Pretty good. You can be proud. Within this amazing group of young men are 23 seniors who will graduate next month, including 13 Navy ensigns and 10 Marine Corps second lieutenants. Over the past 4 years, they've grown morally, mentally, and physically in preparation for their service to our nation. They're not just great football players, and you can see this, that they are just amazing people. They're true American warriors and future submarine captains and fighter pilots and Marine infantry and Navy SEALs. And we have the I shouldn't say this too loud because some people aren't thrilled, but I'm thrilled. We have the largest budget we've ever had. We're buying gorgeous new ships, gorgeous new. And John, you're going to be working on that. He's a great, John Phelan's a great businessman, one of the best. And to get that job done, and we're going to make them beautiful looking ships too. John, you know, a lot of times they'll show me a ship or a plane, and I say, that doesn't look good. They say, well, it's stealth. I said, I don't care if it's stealth or not. We're going to change it if we have to. I'm not sure I believe so much in the stealth thing, but we want the most beautiful equipment, the best equipment. That's what we're going to get, and you're going to lead the way, and I'll help you too because I like doing that stuff. And we're going to get a lot of ships, a lot of planes, and for all of the armed services. So I appreciate it, John. Do a job. And I just say to the gentleman behind me, your commitment is something very special. And as long as I'm Commander-in-Chief, the United States will always have the strongest, fiercest, and most powerful Navy on the sea. And again, we're going to restock it like it hasn't been restocked before. We're going to have $1 trillion budget. Think of it. You know, it's like crazy. It's crazy, but more than anybody else by double. And we're going to be in a league. I rebuilt our armed forces in my first term, got them almost entirely rebuilt. Then we had a catastrophe known as Biden, and in Afghanistan, he gave so much of the equipment away, but still it was only a small fraction of what we had done. And we're restocking it now, and we're going to have something that nobody's ever had before. So I'm counting on all of you people in the front to get out there, and we got to get the best equipment in the world. And we're going to pay the price, but we're going to get the best equipment in the world. We have to have it. Lots of ammunition too. We get a little low on ammunition. I came into office and they said, first time they said, sir, we're very low on ammunition. I said, don't say that to the enemy. I don't want the enemy to hear that. And I came in this time and they said, sir, you're low on ammunition again. We gave a lot of it away, you know that, but we have to keep a lot of it. We have to keep it for ourselves also. So we're going to work together and we're going to do something great, Pete. And you're going to do a fantastic job doing the job you're already doing. You've made a big impact. So I'd like to now introduce a very special man, a great coach. You would rate him great, right? Good or great? Good. Oh boy, am I glad you said that. Would I be in trouble if he said anything? But there's nothing much you can say because we see his record. So, Coach, could you say a couple of words, please? Brian Newbrow. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And many thanks to your staff for taking care of us today and herding us around the building. Appreciate that. And many thanks to everyone here in attendance to honor these special young men here today. We're humbled and grateful to be here. The highest honor and the most important tangible goal in our program is to be standing here in the White House with our Commander-in-Chief and all of you here today. Proudly representing the United States Naval Academy, the entire brigade of midshipmen, and all the men and women serving in our Navy and our Marine Corps, both past and present. The young men here on the stage, and some of them out here in the audience, are some of the best and the brightest that our country has to offer. In a little over a month, these 23 seniors, these incredible young men standing behind me, will graduate and commission as officers in the United States Navy and Marine Corps under your command, Mr. President. And they will do so with tremendous character and the core values of duty, honor, courage, and commitment. I know there have been a lot of great teams. You mentioned some of those earlier, come through here, collegiate, professional, world champions, national champions that have been honored here at the White House. But Mr. President, this is your team. This is America's team. And the CIC trophy is the most coveted and honorable trophy in all the college sports. And it's our objective to come back here and get to know you a little bit better over the course of your tenure. This time I'd like to bring up our two captains,